Mike, welcome to our Leadership During COVID video series, which is being hosted by FinStep Asia and MEDICI. Our aim is to showcase fintech leaders at this time of crisis and how you're handling and your team is handling this crisis, right? So we could start off with you giving us a brief introduction to Currencycloud and what you do, where you're based for our audience, please.
Sure. Hi, I'm Mike Laven. I'm the CEO of the Currencycloud. I'm in my fourth week of working from home in lockdown. So the company has been working from home for 4 weeks. We sell or provide to our clients cross-border payments and receipts, but we do it on an embedded basis. So we don't sell directly to end users. We have a platform that enables our clients to make payments cross-border. So we have a global banking network, and also to receive money from their clients cross-border. A range of customers, about 350. Many of the challenger banks globally, not all, but many of the challenger banks globally use us for business payments. A lot of e-commerce firms, hundreds of FinTech firms and brokers basically embed our technology so that they can enable cross-border payments and receipts for their clients. About 250 people, primarily based in London. Of course, everybody right now is primarily based at home, but based in London, offices in Amsterdam, in Laven in the Ukraine, in Cardiff in the Ukraine, and in the UK, and in New York.
Right. Mike, my question is about what's happening in the cross-border remittance industry and specifically with you. So I know that you guys have dozens of APIs. And my question is in two parts. One is, what's happening with the demand overall for cross-border remittances, both on retail as well as business side? And then specifically within your, the areas that you cover with your APIs, such as, inbound money collection or foreign exchange, outgoing payments, digital wallet. Amongst these, which are the areas where you are seeing definitive growth and, a spike in terms of the demand?
Sure. So we have a very diverse client base, and so we're seeing a lot of different things going on in the client base. And let me just caveat by saying I think it does change week to week. So I'll tell you where we are now. Firms that deal exclusively in travel and entertainment are struggling, and that could be the travel money part of their business. It could be they're servicing travel agents. They're paying for package tours. They're doing entertainment, supporting cricket tours. Anything that has to do with travel and entertainment is really struggling. Anything to do with e-commerce might actually be booming. Remember, I'm on the supply side of e-commerce, not on the demand side. Also in the remittance tends to be flat, but what we have seen, interestingly, is that the transaction or the volume that we process through the platform is held pretty constant because the growers and the decliners are sort of narrowing themselves off, but the average transaction value is increased. So what that means to us is that a lot of the smaller retail business is actually dropping off. And what you're seeing is the supply chain is still there. Companies still need to pay for goods and services globally. They're supporting e-commerce, they're supporting online retail. So that supply chain or business-to-business payment business seems to be relatively constant. Of course, it's not growing dramatically, is relatively constant, but the lower transaction volume, the lower value transactions actually has dropped a little bit. Now, so remittance is sort of flat, e-commerce is up, travel and entertainment is down.
But considering the size of your team and the various clients you serve globally, how have your team been dealing with this? You mentioned about a majority of people are working from home, but a lot of processes involve compliance. It also involves, more project management. Technically, some things may be more difficult to achieve from a hardware perspective from home. But so how have you guys been managing in the last few weeks?
So first of all, we had to do a large planning process to be able to work everybody from home. Certain compliance processes require data protection. Certain banking processes require hardware and hardware components. And we had to spend quite a long time thinking through how we could move all that in a protected fashion to home. So we've done that, and everybody, 100% of the employees now work from home. That transition actually has gone fairly well. As a technology company, we understood how to work from home. But interesting, I was interviewing an engineer, talking with an engineer the other day who had joined us without ever coming to the office. Virtual interview, and by the time he joined the company, there wasn't any office to come to. And what he said was very interesting. He said, a lot more code is getting written, but a lot less knowledge transfer. Yeah. So I think that the practical nature of running the business is going on correctly. We have a big operations function, thousands of payments come in every day. We have to deal with banks every day. So all of that is working, I think, really well. I think some of the knowledge transfer and strategic functions don't work as well, but the practical functions go and the business goes on.
Right. No, remote engineering is a big talk of the town right now on Twitter and everywhere. I also wanted to congratulate you on the new fundraise, earlier this year. I think it was very timely. I think you raised around $80 million from Visa and World Bank and others. So congratulations on that. I wanted to understand that in times like these, in crises like these, theoretically the demand for digital products, and specifically something like yours, which is like embedded finance, which can help others, transfer money. Theoretically, I think the demand should go up, quite drastically as everybody is trying to move digital. Are you seeing that? Can you back that up with numbers as well?
I don't have any numbers on it, but what I can tell you is that we believe that so remember in the remittance business, well, in the migrant remittance business also has a large cash component. But in the money transfer business, we think that this will accelerate the digital transformation of many parts of the economy, whether it's online retail that moves from cash to digital, or it forces basically banks that were less retail. I think if you look at, for example, ATM withdrawals in the UK, ATM withdrawals are dramatically down. So in the digital economy has a couple of different components here. One, because everybody's working from home, a lot of the supply issues are now moving digital. And so in that sense, we think that digital transformation will be advanced. Now, listen, we're into week 3. This is the speculation of what it'll be like when we go back to work. And we will eventually go back to work. But when we do, we think that the sort of digital transformation will be accelerated across the board in every part of the economy.
Right.
Go on.
And this is also a time where I think the people factor, the human resources factor is kind of very, very important. I wanted to ask you that how are you coping with fear, fatigue, panic? I don't know if I should say fear or not, but a lot of people have that. But really, the fatigue with this new structure, working from home, as well as the news keeps belting out new very disturbing things. So there's this panic around. How are you coping with this?
So first, let me just comment quickly on the funding which you mentioned. We had very good funders. It was a very big round, and the round came in December, and we were backed by good people with cash in the bank. And remember, one of the things that that means is that we actually have money in the bank for a growing company. And we still have to be very careful in how we manage that because we don't know where the economy is going. But that's a distinction from many startups. So many of the startups that I deal with are in markets that aren't proven yet, or they haven't completed a funding round recently, and they have a much different position than I'm in. I mean, I still have to be very, very, very careful. Then, but we have good people behind us. It was a strategic round, and those people are quite helpful. So one of those fear factors is the fear of the business collapsing, just because you're going to have to ride out a short-term shortfall in demand, and then a global economic recession, of which we don't know how deep and how long, and whether it's going to be a V-shaped recovery or a swoosh recovery, and all of those things we don't know. That's still challenging, but better to do when you've got cash to husband rather than you don't have cash. So that's one of the things. On the personal side, listen, you have, I think there's three broad categories of employees. There's the ones who are single, and whether they're young or old, and in our technology industry, most of those are young, who are home alone. There's ones with babies, with young children, and then one with school-age children. And each of those groups have a slightly different problem. The ones who are home alone have to cook, clean, shop, take deliveries, all that for themselves, and they're socially isolated. The ones with children, especially if there's both parents working and the schools are closed, have a real problem managing their day. So, and additionally, if you think of it, everybody's commute has gone from an hour to 10 seconds. You know, I paddle from my bedroom into the kitchen, and that's my commute. It takes about 15 seconds. It used to be 45 minutes. So people have picked up a lot more time in the day. So I think the company has to be very conscious of that. Conscious that you have people who are socially isolated and we need to do things to help them. Conscious that their parents for whom, you know, if you switch to meetings all day, then the parents have a real problem because somebody has to look after the child. And so we have to be very, very conscious in terms of running the company that the mechanism of running it when we were together in the office is going to be different than the mechanism when we're online. I think one of my engineers put it is there has to be a lot more asynchronous working than there used to be. When you're in the office, there was a lot more synchronous working. You could always meet very quickly and go apart. You find if you do all that while everybody's working from home, the day gets full and people get burnt out. So I think we're learning how to manage it on a day-to-day basis, but productivity is good. We're in week 4, you know, in any week 4, people are still enthused. They're working from home. I think, you know, by the time we get to week 8 or week 12, if we get there, maybe you want to come back and ask me that question again. But right now we're doing a lot of things socially to help. And remember, and it's different categories of people have different kinds of issues, and we're trying to help them all.
That's quite insightful, right? And a lot of people are struggling, and globally there have been different stages. People in East Asia have had work from home since late January. As we heard, Wuhan's going back online in terms of interaction, and people going back to work after 3 months. In Hong Kong, we've had a mix of work from home and people doing roster in offices. One of the things, Mike, that we are driving through our initiative here with the video series is an internship program that we are running to connect companies with interns globally, especially considering that a lot of interns have had their offers integrated. We wanted to ask in this time of crisis, is there something that you personally or as Currencycloud would like to offer the community, you know, credits, be it mentor hours, or if you're looking to onboard some interns, would be good to know from you if there's anything you'd like to offer.
So we certainly take interns. We have, you know, within the capacity of the company actually to have a place for them to sit. I think one of the interesting things that has changed is that we don't necessarily have to have a place for people to sit.
Sure.
In order for them to be effective. Listen, I'm happy to look at interns. We need to think through the ways of working. How would we bring interns into the culture, and how would we have them work? But we've had interns before, and we'll have interns again in the future.
Great. Thanks a lot, Mike, for taking out time. I know it's a bright morning in London, and we'll let you get back to your team.
Yep.
And
yeah,
wish you a blessed Easter. Yeah, wish you a blessed Easter going ahead. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you.